Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cyrus Webb Presents. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. So glad you guys can join us once again. For those tuning in on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and on X, we're glad to have you all with us today. We're glad to connect with our friends over on Amazon so we can bring in and introduce today's guest. I'm excited about this. I've had a chance to interview our next guest before, but this is our first time on our Amazon Live platform to talk about her brand new project. So I'm excited about that. And we're now live on Amazon Live with Cyrus Webb Presents. If you guys are new to us on the Amazon platform, welcome. And type you guys a welcome message there. Make sure you guys do hit that follow button, though, either in this corner or down below. You also will see the Kindle edition of my next guest book. We're excited to welcome LaWanna Bradford to our broadcast today. You guys know her as an entrepreneur. She's a media personality. She's been a best-selling author before with collaborative projects, but now she's an Amazon bestseller with her own project that you guys can see there in our carousel. The book is called I Pledge Allegiance, a journey through the world, the words that shaped a nation. We're going to talk to LaWanna not only about the new book that's officially out on July the 22nd, but also what it's been like for her to see the early response to it. LaWanna, my friend, welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Cyrus. I'm excited. It's my first time on Amazon Live.
Yeah, I'm excited about it too. And as I mentioned, you've been a part of other projects before, so your name does appear on Amazon. But how does it feel, LaWanna, to be able to have your own project now be a bestseller on Amazon?
There are no words. It's been one of those long-standing bucket lists. You and I have been talking about this for years, and to finally have it completed is it's a good feeling that it's my independent voice, especially about this particular topic, and it took a lot of courage to step out and write this. So I'm excited to see what the world thinks.
Let's talk about that. You talk about the courage, and it is a different type of book. When you and I were first talking about this particular project, this is not the book I thought you were going to be coming out of the gate with as a solo project. Why was this book the right one to start with, Luana?
I think the timing, it's like the perfect storm. So at the time when I began writing the book, just dealing with the journey of the loss of my father, as you know, which was this past September, and the change that was happening in the nation. And I just woke up one day thinking about where we were going as a country and what did it really mean, and how the experience.
Hmm.
And what I found in the journaling, it was getting richer and richer. And I thought, you know what? I think I may have some beginnings of a book here. And that's how I penned I Pledge Allegiance, a journey through the words that shaped a nation.
Yeah. Cornelia, hello to you over there on Facebook. Cornelia says, so excited for you. I can't wait to read it. Well, you'll have your chance officially tomorrow, Cornelia, for those who are joining us live, to be able to get the Kindle edition. You guys can pre-order it today, so it'll be waiting on your Kindle on device or your PC when you guys get up in the morning. Now, it's interesting, though, you mentioned a couple times here, Luana, about the times we're living in. And I think for many people, that means a lot of different things. A lot of people are feeling a lot of angst, anxiety. They're not feeling a lot of hope, but this is a project that you have talked to me about that you feel like does provide hope. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, and this particular manuscript, Cyrus, is really my personal journey of unpackaging the Pledge of Allegiance. These 27 words are so powerful, and they were shaped to provide hope. But then how do you set hope on top of chaos, right? On top of confusion and anxiety and stress and everything that's happening in the world around us, not just in this country. And it goes back for me into tapping into my truth and who I am and how and the lens in which I view the world. And this book is a challenge for everyone not to look at the world through my lens. But if you were raised in this country and indoctrinated through these words called a pledge allegiance, what does it really mean to you? And where does your truth lie? And how does it align with your value systems? And for me, it is a declaration of hope. It is a promise that if we, the individual, can make change within our respective sphere of influence, then that creates a ripple effect that can then transcend families, communities, countries, and ultimately the world. But change first starts within before we
Right.
can begin seeing it with beyond ourselves.
Mm. You mentioned the word influence, Luana, and I want to talk about that in the lens of how people have gotten to know you. Now, they know you for a lot of different things. They know you as an entrepreneur. They know you from your work you've done with the Bradford Group. They've definitely now gotten to know you, through being a thought leader, a media personality. You have your own shows that you host. What has that been like for you to tap into your own personal influence and let people get to know more about LaWanna Bradford, the person?
Well, that's thanks to you, Cyrus. We'll rewind about 4 years ago. Cyrus and I, we've known each other for 17 years. But one of
Mhm.
the things you challenged me with about 4 years ago, you said, Luana, you're doing this great job at amplifying your business, the Bradford Group, the things that Bradford Group does, but and even amplifying others.
Mhm.
But who are you?
Mhm.
And honestly, Cyrus, I may not have told you this part, but that really bothered me because I thought, okay, you know me all this time. What do you mean, who am I? But I
Mhm.
realized that I was getting very comfortable in hiding behind my business brand.
Mm.
And it was a challenge to say, wait a minute, I do have a unique voice. My
Right.
business is an extension of me, but it's not me. And
Right.
having the courage to step out and identify and share with the world what's important to me, why I do what I do, why the Bradford Group even exists.
Mhm.
It's more than just making money. It's about creating a means for individuals to have hope, to build sustainable communities. And then from there, I just started to unpackage more of my story and my why.
Right.
But it took a lot of courage to get there because I didn't realize that I was wearing the mask of my company.
Mhm. Well, I appreciate you sharing that, Lawana. Now, the reason why I was able to have that conversation with my friend Lawana is because I had done the same thing. I had been guilty, and I've talked about this, of kind of hiding behind conversations instead of really letting people get to know Cyrus Webb. And so, they say, real recognizes real, and I could recognize that Lawana was doing the exact same thing that I was doing. So I'm so glad, though, that now you've allowed us to be able to see. And it's so interesting once you made that decision, going back to what you were saying about influence about the book, Luana, the doors that have opened up for you. You had a media campaign that you went on. I think was it around the Super Bowl, I think a couple years
Yes,
ago?
yeah,
Uh,
the Super Bowl media campaign, which was
yeah,
amazing.
yeah, and so many other things have happened. And one thing you've shared with us before, and I'm looking forward to that book, is you've been able to take us on these walk-in talks with you, what you call your strategic insights. I want to talk about those for a moment because I feel like there's an interesting connection with the book in this. Because in order to turn the camera on yourself, to share these insights that you have, these stories, these experiences, that really does show the importance of your story, but also the impact your story can have on others. What has that been like for you to use those opportunities, Lawana, to not only to share, but to see how people are impacted by it?
Well, the strategic insights started, a couple years ago because I always do my morning walks, and that's when it's just my time to get grounded, to connect with God, and to be inspired for my day, however that day is going to unfold. And I just thought, why don't I share some of this that I'm getting for me, and maybe it'll bless other people. And then it just started growing from there. I mean, sometimes I'll get on my soapbox and I'll go a long time, but I've learned now to compact it down to really digestible pieces to help people think, wow, she's gone through that. I can relate to that. I've had a bad day too, or, I'm sort of stuck. How do I get over this block and still move on and still be inspired and still present my best self? Even though I may not feel that it's my best this day, but it may be the best I have, and keep pressing forward. And to hear people's feedback has been very rewarding. Just, you don't know how many people are listening to you and
Yeah,
how many people are encouraged just by your journey. And even in going through the last year of my dad's life, just
yeah,
sharing what it's like to care for an elderly parent and having my own fear
mhm,
and even in his passing. And I got really raw. I mean, one time I had like a breakdown on social media, but I thought it's okay because this is life. Life
yeah,
isn't always pretty. Sometimes it's messy.
yeah. It's such a great point, Luana. And I remember one of those times when you literally, I remember watching it, and the words came out of your mouth was, I think my dad is transitioning. And I thought to myself, that it takes so much for us sometimes just to put words to things, but to be able to share that in that moment, what you were trying to process, I thought was so powerful, and how people kind of, commented and really connected with you on that. I want to say, for those who are just tuning in, welcome. Y'all are watching Cyrus Webb Presents here on Amazon Live, but we're simulcasting it on social media. We're speaking to my friend, LaWanna Bradford. All know her as a serial entrepreneur. She's a media personality in her own right, but also the author of as you can see there, the new Amazon bestseller, I Pledge Allegiance, A Journey Through the Words That Shaped a Nation. It's officially out in Kindle July 22nd. So depending on how you all are watching or listening to us, it may be available for pre-order, maybe available to go ahead and order it now. LaWanna, looking at that screen, how does it feel to have an Amazon hot new release right now? Your book sitting at number 2.
It feels great. It has bounced from I was number one for 2 days, but I'll still
Mm-hmm.
take that and pat
Mm-hmm.
myself on the back. But I've been bouncing back and forth between 1 and 3, holding for about 4 weeks. Then I then dropped, but then bouncing back.
Mm-hmm.
And it's exciting to just watch this happen,
Yeah.
and realizing that it's piquing curiosity.
Yeah. So let's talk more about the book itself. I Pledge Allegiance. So you take, as you mentioned, these words, and you're able to not only to think about the words, to talk about the words, but also give a call to action. Talk to us about that part, because I think for so many people, LaWanna, we live in a world that unfortunately people want to be told what to do, and which is how we end up in very dangerous positions sometimes when we give up so much of our power. We don't want to do anything ourselves. We just say, "Well, you just do it." I'll give all this power to you. What do the words mean to you, Luana, when it means to embracing your own power and your own call to action?
Is it okay if I read one section of the
Oh,
book that I
definitely, sure, of
think
course,
answers that?
yeah.
I said, that's what I ask myself when I look at the flag. My red, white, and blue carries a meaning that is perhaps profoundly different from those longing for a golden age. I do not believe America has reached its pinnacle, her brilliance, and her breathtaking potential. However, it flickers like a distant star. Yet I still pledge allegiance, not to man, not to a system, not to wealth or influence or fear. I pledge allegiance to the ideals, the dignity of the human spirit, the power of community, the relentless hope woven through our diversity. I pledge allegiance to we the people, a nation born of slaves and settlers, of indigenous people, of immigrants and refugees, to the hands that built this country and the voices that still fight for it. I pledge allegiance to my neighbor, to my community, to this great land, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters. I pledge allegiance not to what it is, but to what it could be if only we dared to be.
Mm, mm,
So it was a reflection in writing this of these words and really looking at, when I say I'm an American, when I say that I really care about my neighbor, what does that mean? Is it just words that I recite thousands and thousands of times like many of us have done? Or is it something I believe in, a truth that I live because that truth aligns with my values? So the call to action for everyone is, the way this book was written, Cyrus, is in a very deliberate style. It's done in an interrogative style,
mm,
meaning you are asking yourself these questions as the reader. And there are a lot of questions peppered throughout because I'm taking you through how I unpackaged it for myself. And you may not end up where I did. It's not trying to lead anyone. But at the end of the day, I know that every person who reads it will have a true answer for themselves in their truth, where they stand, and being willing to defend and stand whatever that position may be.
mm.
And so that's the call to action, is be willing to ask yourself the hard questions, be willing to stand for your truth, and be willing to defy indoctrination if you so choose.
I want to talk business in this for a moment, Luana, because one of the conversations you and I had, so our audience knows, is when you were telling me about this book. And one thing I said to Luana is what I say to a lot of authors that I end up working with, and that is, okay, so what's the plan? Because this is different than other things that people may have known you for. This is definitely true for you, Luana. This is not something most people would be expected to come to LaWanna Bradford to talk about. So, what was it like for you to think about the new audience? Yes, of course, those people who know you, who have worked with you, maybe be friends with you, will support the book because it's you. But what is it like for you to think about the new people who will discover you because of your not only opening up this conversation, but also making this available for them to be able to be a part of?
When you asked me that question, like what's next, I was like, I think I'm supposed to have an intelligent answer here. And I had to sit and really ponder, yeah, what, okay, I've got this out now, what? And so, yeah, there's a call to action for individuals to challenge themselves. I would love to have this as a read or sort of a teach the teachers sort of platform and in helping children to understand. But I know right now, the way this nation is going, some things are not going to be permitted. This may be one of those reads. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But what I am doing is building within those micro communities, one of which is the Southwest Association of Buffalo Soldiers. And their goal is to preserve history of African Americans, history of military history. And all the proceeds of this book, forever and ever, will go to that organization to help preserve history. So that is part of me connecting with Dad's legacy in this, but in also helping the kids behind me to understand what it means to stand true to your voice, whether it's the Pledge of Allegiance or whatever pledge or allegiance you make, contractual relationships, marital relationships, that's an agreement. And realizing there is power and influence in our words. So I believe it can take on a wider scope.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, my focus is on the legacy work that it's going to engage, and I do want to communicate within different educational systems. I may have to go to the private systems first to see if it's something that may be a framework to help individuals digest what this really means for them as we make this requirement of our children to say this pledge. At least it's still a requirement within 85% of our schools.
Yeah, I want to talk about that aspect, and I see you guys over there on YouTube. If you guys have any questions for LaWanna, make sure you guys do put those in the chat, because one of the conversations we had recently, off air, was about the educational aspect, and you mentioned something even in this conversation I think is so important for our audience to think about. There's a difference in saying something than truly understanding it. And I think, and Lawanna's mentioned it twice here, even in this short conversation already, and that is people say the words, but do they really think about it? It's almost like when you're singing a song, you don't really think about sometimes what the song is actually saying, because if you did, you're like, wait a minute. you know so what do you hope happens in that component, Lawanna, that people actually think about the words, think about what they're saying, and ask themselves how they really feel about it?
I hope each person who takes the time to read, it's a short read and it's a simple journey. I hope they walk away with their own epiphany. For me, if you had told me before writing this that I had been the product of a construct of indoctrination. You think about that in socialist and communist countries. I would have said, no, that's not me. I've had freedom of choice, da da da. But no, from very young, we are told to say this over and over and over again, and literally thousands of times. And I began to think by saying this and impressing this on my subconscious mind, how has it impacted how I show up, how I respond to the world? I may not realize how much I've been impressed by it. And so in my own discovery, I realized I thought I understood the meaning of the Pledge of Allegiance. For me, I didn't.
Mhm.
again, logically, right, we understand the words,
Mm,
but the heart behind the words, and even
right.
understanding why it was even written
Mm,
has, just some interesting nuances when you're understanding how systems shape and mold constructs in which we live. And this
right.
was written by Francis Bellamy in 1892, which was, post slavery, and it was designed to launch on the 400th anniversary of Columbus's quote unquote discovery of America, to unify the immigrant mindset under one umbrella.
Mm,
It sounds good, right? But that's how it ended up going into the school systems. And then under God, indivisible wasn't added until 1954, when Eisenhower, after World War II, is looking and say, wait a minute, we've got the communist nation here. We want to make sure we're no way identified with that. We need to show that we are a Judeo-Christian country. So let's make sure that pledge now inserts one nation under God, because it wasn't in the original script.
yeah. Yeah. It's so powerful, LaWanna, even hearing you talk about it now. Here's the thing. I'm not a cynical person. You've known me a long time. You know I'm not cynical. But I have, especially I would say in the past 10 years, I've been really surprised and saddened by how cynical some people have become about everything, and cynical and even skeptical. Like, even as you were just talking, there will be some people who are thinking, "Oh, not Columbus. We know that's," just mentioning his. And I remember in school, Columbus was revered. You know what I'm saying? Because of what we have been taught. Again, going back to what you said, then what we get to know, our perspectives change. So my question
Yes.
becomes to you, my friend, when you did this evaluation, this self evaluation, not just of the words, but of yourself, how did you change?
I think for me, understanding the history helped me put it in context. Understanding that as intelligent or as educated as we may be, we can still fall victim to indoctrination, as subtle as it may become. So being aware of that. But then thirdly, I end the book by saying, in all of this, in all of the ash and trash that we discover, and mixed with the goodness, I still pledge allegiance. I am a patriot, true and true. I am. I love this country. I love all that it can be. And so I think my discovery was, yeah, I still stand. I still pledge allegiance, but I have a better understanding as to why I take that stance.
Mhm. You said something that I really liked, Luana, and I want to repeat it and have you expound on it if you want to. Is that people, and this is the beautiful thing about words, we can all read the same thing and come away with different perspectives and thoughts and insights from it. You said earlier in this conversation that people will read this book and they may not come to the same conclusion that you do. They may not feel the same way based on their own experience and how they see it. But what do you hope we're all able to do in discussing that? How do you hope your book plays a role in opening the door of dialogue, regardless of how people may feel before and afterwards?
I hope what it does is give people a sense of empowerment, that there truly is power in words, as we can see how those words were used. And your words are as equally as powerful. So choose them and use them wisely to
Mhm.
shape and influence the life that you have around you for the better. I think if each of us tries to be that ripple of positive change and influence, whether you celebrate the Pledge of Allegiance or salute the flag or not, if you can do just that, the world can be a better place.
Yeah. Well, congratulations to you, Lawana. Again, for those who are joining us live, the book is available now for pre order. It officially comes out on July the 22nd. Again, I'm going to show it again for you guys over on the Amazon side. We have it highlighted for you, but it's a Pledge Allegiance, a journey through the words that shaped the nation by LaWanna Bradford, her first solo project out now. Again, as I mentioned already, and an Amazon bestseller. You can see, LaWanna, I got mine ordered. I've been waiting since June 26th. for for my
It's
for my
coming. It's coming.
so I'm excited about reading it. Now, how can our audience stay connected with you, Luana, and kind of keep up with you and the conversation?
I am easy to find. I tell people I'm Googleable. LaWanna Bradford on all things social media, or go to my website, lawannabradford.com, and just DM me. Let's have a conversation. Would love to hear from all of you.
All right, Luana, congratulations to you. Looking forward to our next chat together.
Thank you so much, Cyrus.
More than welcome. We thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Cyrus Webb Presents. Until next time, you all make it a great one. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.